Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about the Uber API, designing Uber API, how you can design it, the best practices to follow and everything. Most probably this is going to be the last video of our system design playlist, as we have covered all the major topics. We have designed 5 to 6 applications, and most probably this Uber API would be the last application that we will be designing. Yes. So let's start with some questions as usual that we ask. Uh, so when we are designing Uber API, so what comes in mind about Uber? It's a taxi service. It's a taxi service that provides cabs. That provides cabs, and cabs has two people. Usually, it is a contact between two people, right? The driver and customer. Customer. So these are the two things we have. And so Uber has a lot of different service. There's the core ride hailing Uber service. There's Uber Eats and there's Uber Pool. So are we designing for everything? No. So we will be focusing on just core Uber API. That is for the car service, the car core service. We're going to focus on this. Now, another question that comes in our mind is that it firstly it seems like we need a both passenger facing API and a driver facing API. That makes sense. So if that is the case, then we have to design both, right? We have one customer and then we have one driver, right? So yes. So to make sure we are on the same page, we can actually think like that the functionality that we will be implementing this API will support a user that goes on the phone, hails a ride, and they will get matched with the driver. Then they can track their ride as it progresses until they reach their destination, right? And at which point the ride is complete. So throughout this process there are a few more features to support, like able to track where this particular customer or a passenger is going, where the passenger drive is before the passenger gets picked up, maybe being able to cancel the ride, something like that. So we won't be focusing on things like these third party services, things that we always skip, like one of them is a very common thing, that is payment and contacting. We don't need to implement these two. They will be handled by a third party, something like that. Cool. So we can also skip rating and everything and just focus on the main core feature. So we have to write out function signature for various API endpoints, including their parameters, their types, return values, something like that. So now we are good to go. So as usual, we will come up with a plan. We will first come up with a uh, plan. So Uber has two things, right? The customer and driver. Cool. So we will center our API around a ride entity. Uber ride will have associated ride containing information about ride, something like that. So for both of them, one thing is common, right? Everything is different maybe, but ride is common. Ride is common for both of them. So since normal Uber ride can have only one passenger and one driver, we will easily handle all permission related to ride operations. So operations like get ride and edit ride will purely rely on a past user ID and user ID of the passenger or driver, whatever we want. Now we will start by defining ride entity before designing the passenger facing API, right? And the driving facing API. So we know for sure there are two APIs: this customer facing API and the driver facing API. We have two APIs here, right? So let's make sure that we have the entities on which we will be working everything, right? So let me just change the color. Yeah, we are good to go. So we will discuss about entities. So the first entity that comes into our mind is uh, ride entity, right? Ride entity. So what it is going to have, uh, everything, like it can have several things, like first it will have ride ID. Then it can have passenger information, right? Then it can have the driver information, Yes, I will just mark it so that it's easy to write. Cool. So then we can have driver information, driver information, right? Then we have the ride status, the ride status, right? Then we have let's say the start location, start location. Inside this we can also have destination, destination, and then we can have start time, start time, and the price that this ride will cost. So that would be estimated price or something like that. Let's name it price. Then you have time to reach. Okay, so these are the how many entities we have defined here. You have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So 8 basically features are going to be inside the ride entity. uh, cool, that's not a big deal. Now we will have another one. This was ride. Now we can move to the other, which is passenger information, because it's important. Passenger info, right? It will consist of, like, let's say ID, name, and let's say rating of that particular passenger. Cool. That is it, all we need, right? Then we have driver info, driver info. Cool. So inside driver info, we will have all those three things, right? We will have ID, name, rating, and then we can have vehicle info, vehicle info. So yes, we are good to go. Now we have to talk about the vehicle information. That is going to be very important for us. Vehicle information. So inside vehicle information, we can have ID, then we can have license plate, and then we have description of it a bit. I think these three things are more than enough. ID, license plate, and description of the vehicle. Cool. So we have the four entities, that is ride, then we have passenger information, then we have the driver information and the vehicle information. Cool. So now actually we just need to make the final CRUD operations on the API part, right? Because these are the two APIs that we talked about. Let me just move. Yeah. So these are the two APIs we talked about. One is customer API and one is the driver API. So we need to talk about both of these APIs because we are done with the entities description part. So let's move to both of them one by one. So let's start with the color, and let's move to the customer API first. Cool. We will move to customer API. So in customer API, let me write. Let's say passenger API. Cool. So we will have CRUD operations here, right? The create, rename, delete, update operations, and it's going to be very straightforward. It is going to have multiple functions inside it. So let's say the first function is going to be you can create a ride, right? So first function would be create ride, right? So user ID string pickup, that will be the information. The destination, that would also be geo, something like that. So this is going to get you the ride. Cool. So we have one operation as create ride, then we have another operation which is what you say, that can be get ride, get ride, and that will be to get a ride. So yes, we are good to go. Then we can have after get ride, we can have edit ride, we can have edit ride, edit right. So it is also going to help us in the ride. So Then you can have, let's say, two more operations, right? The first one is obviously cancel. You can cancel ride, and the final operation, which is the driver location. Get the driver location. Get driver location. So yep, it's quite clear that what we are going to do here. First, we are going to create the driver ride. Then we can find the driver, and then we can actually get to edit the ride, right? We have these 5 operations, the CRUD operations that we usually have, right? So that was it for the passenger API. We have defined all the 5 things, right? Now when it comes to the second one, which is the driver API, right? So we have taken all the space here, so I will just mark the pen and take some space out of here, something like that. Cool. So we can move here. So we will take the operation here. Let's define it. So it's driver API, right? Driver API. So we will simply apply the CRUD operations here also. It's simple as that. I don't think you guys now even need my help. You guys can do it yourself also. So we are going to have multiple operations. I will first define them. So let's say the first operation can be set driver status, right? Set driver status. Is it working or not? Like, is the driver working right or not working? Then it can have get ride, to get a ride. Then it can have another thing, that is to edit ride. Then you have accept ride. Then you have to give location. That is to give location. These are the 4 operations, right? So then you also have one to cancel, and you have already defined cancel. Nope. Yeah. So these are the 4 operations. Set driver status, get ride, edit ride, accept ride, cancel ride, or give location. These are the 1 2 3 4 5 operations that we needed. Cool. We are good to go. So we have defined both APIs, right? We have defined the passenger API. Then we have defined the let's say the driver API, passenger API. We have defined the entities that were needed, the 3 entities here. So the 4 entities here. So yes, that's it. I think that is how you design an API. You're good to go. So yep, that was how you need to design an API when it comes to API designing inside system design. You just need to come up with a clear plan, what things are going to be there, what entities are going to be there, and accordingly you can actually decide all the things. So we started with making out a clear plan for us. We made a clear plan, then we divided the things into 2, that is the customer API and the driver API. Then we defined the entities that are going to be in there, the ride entity, passenger info entity, driver info entity, and the vehicle info entity. And inside that we defined the 2 APIs, that is the passenger API, the driver API, right? So yeah guys, that was it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this whole playlist and got to get a lot of information and learn something new. We'll meet in the next one. Thank you and have a nice day.